Smiles.
Oh, we're live already. Of course I'm smiling.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wine, Women, and Words. I'm Michelle, and of course with me is Diana. Hello.
Hello.
So I am actually reporting live from North Carolina. So it's actually 11 o'clock at night, which is way past my bedtime. But it's okay
tonight
because I have this.
And what is that specifically?
So where my mom lives in North Carolina is about 3.5, 4 hours away from Asheville,
Okay.
which we are very familiar with from our readings of Zelda a few months ago. And the Biltmore obviously is in Asheville, and she is a member there. She bought like a pass to it.
Ooh.
So she bought a whole bunch of wine from the Biltmore.
Doesn't Zelda go to the Biltmore?
Yes, she does. We were talking about this last night.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
So, I mean, probably not, but Zelda Fitzgerald could have had this wine. Probably not.
I'm going to say she did. I want to believe that she did. In my head, that she drank it. So or at least that formula.
And the one that we drank, and I mean, so we're a loud, crazy Italian family. We drink a lot of wine.
Mm-hmm.
Last night we finished this bottle with such a pretty label, and my mom is super crafty. I'm in her craft room right now. I asked my mom if she could remove the label and make a bookmark out of it for me because it's the library series of their wine. That's what it's called, library series. So
did she do that? Is she working on it?
She's working on it.
Oh, I want to see it when it's finished. This is so awesome.
So this is a Pinot Noir from the Biltmore.
Ooh.
Long story short.
Well, that sounds lovely. I'm still working on that Gruner Veltliner. Okay, let's try this again.
Sounds so classy.
I just started drinking. Gruner Veltliner. We'll go with that. From Thomas McCormick from our California Wine Club. Don't forget, we get 10% off people. www podcast is the code.
Every time you say www, I want to say dot.
I know, because I think you're the one who came up with the name, so you're clever enough to have the www for our name.
It's super clever and alliteration, and I love alliterations. But when it comes to Twitter, Wine, Women, and Words is not the most user-friendly hashtag to use. It's like you do hashtag Wine, Women, and Words. Okay, you're done. Post.
That's like all of our letters right there.
So eventually further down the line, we might have to come up with some kind of clever hashtag for one. I don't know. Maybe you guys can help us think of something.
Yes.
There you go.
We're open to suggestions. So we are still talking The Fortune Teller. This amazing, wonderful book, which I have to admit, I finished today.
Yes. Natural order has been restored to the universe. Diana is ahead of me in reading once again.
Yes, the world is aligned. And it might be because we're having a solar eclipse coming up, so that may be why.
And Diana feels so much better.
I do.
So we're supposed to read last week in our infinite math skills. We determined that you should read approximately the first 113 pages. I got to 93.
I was teacher's pet.
Okay, Diana finished the book. That doesn't count. You don't get to brag about hitting the mark because you finished the whole thing.
Okay, fine.
So,
but you hit 93.
But I hit 93, and I already have a lot of notes for questions that I don't want to ask Gwendolyn, because there was one part. So basically where I am and where the discussion will end tonight is, oh gosh, what is her name?
Iona?
But it's not, is it Iona or is it the seer? I think we've gone through like 5 different versions of her name in text messages. But so she's in Antioch now, and
Yeah.
she's looking for Aristonus.
Ariston.
Ariston, thank you. Um, but what really struck me about how, and she's
Okay,
Gwendolyn is
okay,
a lot like
we're gonna have
Julie.
the official. We're gonna have the official pronunciation of Iona. Ready?
Okay.
Thank you, Google.
pronouncenames.com.
Ioana.
Did you hear that?
Eodonus.
Iona.
Oh, so it's like Joanna, kind of. Interesting.
Yeah, and it's Greek, so.
Joanna. Okay, so Joanna is in Antioch, and I'm noticing Gwendolyn is a lot like Julie in how she sets up her world. Like she spends a lot of time describing Antioch and setting the city. And what really struck me is this one sentence where she's talking about how she's walking down the main street and she said it was a 2-mile stretch of land. I'm like, how do you know that it's 2 miles? Like, you did so much research on what Antioch was during the reign of Cleopatra and Caesar.
She's got a TARDIS. Shh.
She's actually the doctor. So I was super impressed with the amount of time that she spends setting up the world, and I got a series of text messages from Diana going, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god!" ... As you can see, I have continued reading the book. ... I may be 54 pages away from finishing the book. ... I have finished the book.
Oh, and don't forget the curse words in the middle of it, because I got to a point, and you're going to get to that too, and I look forward to that text message where I closed the book, and I was like, fuck. Fuck.
Sorry. I saw it coming, and I tried to edit off.
We're on YouTube, honey. We don't have children watching.
They could be. Anyway.
Well, they got to learn somewhere.
So that's really...
Yeah, my profanity list went off about at least once more. It qualified for 3 F words. There, you happy, Michelle? Are you happy, Captain America?
I am. Thank you. I did the superhero pose.
So yeah, it's gripping, and there's points where I was literally holding my breath in the book and like, no, this can't be happening. Oh my god, this can't be happening. And then it happened. So I actually think, I think I might like this better than the Memory Painter.
Really? I was just talking about the Memory Painter because I have my mom and my aunt in the other room watching us. Hi, guys. And I was talking about the fortune teller and how we read the Memory Painter first, and it's amazing. So I think my aunt is going to pick up a copy of the Memory Painter.
Seriously, if you haven't read The Memory Painter yet, you've got to read it. It's a great book, and it's just as gripping as The Fortune Teller in a lot of ways, and it's really unique. But I think where this one gets me over that one is I think the characters in this are a little bit more developed.
Was the Memory Painter her first book? It was her first book, right?
Yeah, it was her first book, yeah. And so, saying that, it's like, I don't know, it's like comparing 2 really fine wines. So, by saying this, I already hold the book on a really high pedestal. So, but yeah, I think the fortune teller, the characters are much more developed. Simile is my girl. I love her to death. Theo is my new book boyfriend. So, I loved all the characters in this, even the ones in between the stories.
Now,
love that from the manuscript.
We have talked, and this is a favorite topic of ours, fantasy cast for characters. We don't have everyone cast yet, and I'm sure there are people that I haven't met yet that we will soon be discussing.
Yes, we're going to need to discuss it because it is going to be a big task to cast this one, honey. We got a lot to work on.
But we have like an in-depth, serious text conversation debating Theo. But we settled on Henry Cavill
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cable,
If
Cable.
you're not familiar with that name, think Tudors and the New Superman.
Yes, in the Tudors, he was Charles Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I mean,
Yeah.
can't go wrong with that. And who did we say for Simile? I can't remember now.
Evangelina Lilly.
That's right.
That's who I was looking at. Yeah, I really liked her because you got to have that distinct haircut that she describes as that bob, and not everybody can pull that off. You've got to have the structure for that.
I want to make sure I'm thinking of the same person. Evangeline Lilly was she,
Did you see Ant-Man?
no. Okay, the person I'm thinking of, who I think would make an equally good Simile, was, Penny Dreadful.
Yes, I could see that. Okay, let's see what Evangelina Lilly has also been in to give you some ideas. She was in Lost. I don't know if you watched Lost.
Oh, she's Kate from
Yes.
Lost. Okay.
She's
Oh,
Kate
yeah.
from Lost.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, and what made me think of her was because she's got that haircut in Ant-Man, and she pulls it off really well.
Yes, okay. Now I knew I was just putting the face to the wrong name.
Mm-hmm.
But Penny Dreadful,
Yes.
and she would be a good. I can't remember her name.
Okay, I'll pull it up real fast.
She's one of Rich's favorite. I know that.
She has a unique look about her, so that makes it would make her really good. Ava Green. That's her name.
right.
Yes. She would be good too. Yeah.
And so we have Ava Green, or Evangeline Lilly, Charles Brandon, Henry Cable.
He'll
always be Charles Brandon for me. Doesn't matter. He could be Superman all he wants. He will always be Charles Brandon.
I prefer Charles Brandon over Superman, to be honest.
Not so much.
Superman's okay. Not to digress too much, but Superman's too much of a good boy for me.
Superman has the dumbest. I'm sorry, I'm going to offend a whole lot of comic book people, but Superman has the dumbest disguise ever. Like, the guy slicks back his hair and puts on a pair of glasses, and it's like, I had no idea. I had no idea that Superman was Clark Kent. I had no idea. It's the curl and the contact lenses that really throw me off. No.
Totally. I mean, you guys saw last week when I put my glasses on, I looked like a totally different person than what I do this week. You guys, it was like you had a special guest here.
We really did. That's why our episode last week was so crazy.
Right? It was the crazy Diana that showed up. And then also the next casting that we did was Bren, the boyfriend. Which
was Orlando Bloom.
Yes, we went with Orlando Bloom because our girl Simile has got game.
And then Ariston, we cast him.
Yes, I need to look that name up too because it's a new one for me, and I don't know if anybody out there is following the live action Jafar, or not live action Aladdin. Yeah, I say Jafar because when I go see the live action version of Aladdin, I'm going to be rooting for Jafar because I'm already rooting because I love the villains. Villains are my favorite. You got to have a good villain in a story. And yeah, I already like the villain in this much more than I like Aladdin. And his name is Marwan Kenzari. Look him up. He's fantastic looking, and he's got that look, like in some of his pictures, like he looks like he could be like this student of Alexandria.
And I think, and we haven't decided on anyone else yet. We're still debating about Joanna.
Yeah. And I can't remember her name, but I found a model/actress who's Italian and Egyptian who just looked gorgeous. And she just had this hauntingly gorgeous look about her. And it wasn't like anything that was like super, like, oh my God, Angelina Jolie level. It was just, she was beautiful. And she's got like the olive skin, dark olive hair. a tone to go with it, and she's got blue eyes. And I'm like, dude, I could totally picture her as this year. I could totally picture her in this role for this. So yeah, that's my vote's with her, as long as I can remember her name. I don't remember her name. It's somewhere, and I didn't write it down because I figured, okay, I'll text it to Michele. The problem is, people, and the reason why I should not do this is because she and I literally text about 50 times a day.
Starting at about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. And like text from me at like midnight at night. Because, yeah, we just text all the time. It's to the point where it's like, if I don't get a text from Michele for like one day, I'm like, oh my God, is everything okay?
Is she alive? What is wrong?
Okay, she's just busy. Okay, I saw a Facebook post. She's just busy. Okay, it's cool. It's cool.
Well, yeah, so really Google Docs, I think, for important information.
Mm-hmm.
But I think our cast is shaping up to be pretty good so far. Very interested to hear what Gwendolyn thinks. I mean, obviously, this is a very serious part of Wine, Women, and Words, the fantasy cast.
It is.
But what I'm also noticing lately is the Library of Alexandria is like a hot topic in literature right now. Like all of a sudden, it's just like blown. So The Fortune Teller is the Library of Alexandria. I just read, it's a trilogy, and it is escaping my mind right now.
I found her name.
Okay.
It's I expected to go through more text. It's Elisa Sidanaoui, spelled Sidanaoui. I'm gonna say Sidanaoui is how I'm gonna pronounce it. And yeah, look her up. She looks like she would be Iona.
We'll have to post pictures.
We will. So anyways, Library of Alexandria. Sorry.
Yeah, and there's another trilogy, and I'll post the name of the series because it's very good, but it's like an alternate reality series where the library, I brought this up before, where the Library of Alexandria never burned down, and it grew into this worldwide system that controlled all the books in the world, and by extension, all the knowledge in the world. So the library, like, it started out with good intentions to protect all the books and make sure that all of, mankind's knowledge was protected, but it kind of morphed into this controlling, like, let's eradicate any radical ideas that could put books in people's hands without us controlling it type thing. But it's a really good story, and that's another author. I want to say her name is Rachel Kane. That's another author who builds her world beautifully, and I would love to pick these authors' brains. I mean, Gwendolyn has a whole lot of questions for me already about setting the stage. But building the world is such an important factor of any good story. Like reading about Ioana going through Antioch, it's 3 paragraphs that from when she gets off the ship to when she gets to the library and she finds her little hideout. Those 3 paragraphs are beautiful. And like, where did she find the research to know what Antioch looked like, thousands of years ago?
Well, one of the things too, like I highlighted what she talked about when describing the Library of Alexandria, because I mean, speaking about that first with the why we're seeing more books, from what I've been hearing in the chatter for the from publishers, is the new trend is going to be antiquities for historical fiction. So we may be seeing more. We're going to probably be seeing a downturn of World War II books and an uptick of antiquities, which I'm kind of okay with. I mean, granted, I do have a World War II book that's just been simmering on the back burners, which I'm kind of like, but I do love reading about antiquity stuff. But with the Library of Alexandria, just to get an idea of some of her descriptions here, here's a section of this. Imagine that the most majestic palace from Mount Olympus had been handed down to earth. This is how splendid the museum was. Marble walls gleamed like hammered pearls in the sun, and a dome ceiling arched its graceful back against the sky. Inside, meeting halls, theaters, and an observatory composed a complex, along with a dining hall for scholars to break bread. A grand colonnade led from the museum to the library's main doors and linked pathways to the zoo and botanical gardens, each another vainglory of Egypt's new ruling family, the Ptolemies. That's just part of like the description that she goes into with this, and it was thrilling. And I had to stop. I had to highlight it, and I was in Palm Springs with my husband, and it was so funny because I had to read that section to him because he's looking at me because I stopped and highlighted, and I started randomly just mad dash on my phone looking up everything I could about the Library of Alexandria, because this made me angry for the destruction of the library all over again.
Well, it's interesting because in the first section of the book, she talks about how Ioana's father is a librarian at Alexandria, and he works there, and she's grown up in the library, and he's told her about all the great libraries that came before the Library of Alexandria. And one of them was the library in Persepolis, which have you ever heard of that? I've never heard of that library. So that's obviously I'm going to have to research that. But it's kind of crazy to think that there were libraries before Alexandria that we may have lost. Who knows how many other works of history and literature and philosophy and science and math. Uh-oh. Sorry, guys.
I know, it makes me so angry for the Bucks, huh?
So my husband tried to call me. He forgot that it's Thursday night and I'm doing my show.
I know. Oh, that reminds me. I should probably put my phone on silent too, because my husband every now and then does that too.
Well, I have a Mac and an iPhone, so anytime I get a phone call on my cell phone and I have my laptop open, it comes through on my laptop too.
Oh, I would hate that, because if I'm in the middle of writing, I wouldn't want to be disturbed. So if I don't want to answer my phone, I don't want it coming up on my computer.
So my computer kind of blacked out for a second while it was processing the phone call. So I apologize for that.
So yeah, the Library of Alexandria, that would just so upset me. But okay, before we go on to some other stuff, I want to talk about Bren for a moment, because we're introduced to him.
I don't know how I feel about him, honestly. Unfortunately, he's pitted against Theo, which, he's very European, he's very worldly, he's very sophisticated, and I just had a whole conversation about this. And, when you have that, and okay, let's not discount the fact that he's gorgeous and rich beyond.
Poor little Brent doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah. So, but Brett is really sweet, and he leaves voicemails of poems by great poets and wants her to get married, but wants to marry him.
For many girls, that's the dream. And I can tell you, ladies, in high school, I had a guy who wrote me poetry regularly, every day. And I started to avoid him because it got really old really fast. And I know this is terrible, but seriously, I mean, the whole giving you poetry thing is kind of overrated. But with that being said, he's a super, super nice guy. He's just not meant for Simile. It's just not.
No, not for someone. And another thing, I'm kind of bouncing around on ideas here, but another thing that I'm really interested in talking to Gwendolyn about is all of her attention to handwriting. Simile is an expert on handwriting and dating a document based on the handwriting of whoever wrote it, that she can look at the style, the loops of the letters and the type of ink that they used and the paper that they wrote on. she can use all of that information to date a document. And I'm really interested in knowing if that is an actual profession, because like
It is. It's an actual study.
that's crazy, and I would love to have that job, but I feel like I would have to kind of revamp my entire degree, and I'm not really ready to do that.
You missed your calling, Michele.
I know. I'm okay with it. I like writing.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, it's there's so many fascinating things. And okay, guys, can we just take a moment to talk about those frustrating text messages in the book?
Okay, VS. So VS, every time I see that, I think Victoria's Secret. And obviously, I know, the angels of Victoria's Secret aren't texting each other about Simile, but that's what my mind sees.
It could be, because they could be totally jealous of her. Okay, so guys, if you don't know what we're talking about, so the book, I love the ingenious format of the book where you don't have chapter title, you don't have chapter numbers, you have titles of the tarot cards.
Yes.
And I love it. And then there's something else where that plays into too later in the book, which I can't wait for you to get to that point. And I'm going to be like, did you figure it out? Did you figure it out? So
stop knowing. God.
But anyways, you have this thing where she's going through right after she finds the manuscript. You get text message to VS. She found it. Reply from VS.
This is
excellent.
What it looks like.
We are in play. Yeah,
so
just that. No clue who VS is. No clue who's texting this VS person. No clue who's texting it back. And just when you think you might know who it is, something wrench gets thrown in there, and you're like, wait, no, that can't be this person.
But can we please note that it's two VSs? It's from VS and to VS.
Yeah. So we don't know who's texting, so we can't figure out the character because we're not actually given the character's initials.
But like,
we're being toyed with in those sections.
I appreciate it.
We're just little mice.
But I mean, I think it's really, whenever an author has, like, we write. I am not a thriller writer. I don't map things out like that. But so I really admire an author who can map out, and maybe not the entire ending or the entire twist, but to have enough of an idea of how it's going to end to like lay the breadcrumbs through the whole novel, and to lay the breadcrumbs to a dead end and then be like, haha, we're actually going this way. So
and this whole text message VS thing, I did not grasp who it was until approximately 3 hours after I finished reading the book. I'm in the drive home, stuck in traffic, and all of a sudden it's, oh my God, I knew who the person is.
Oh,
and in the middle of traffic in the car, because you're gonna wind up, once you finish, you're gonna be thinking about this for a while. Just like with the memory painter, I was thinking about that one for days after I finished it.
Well, I was just talking about is there going to be a sequel to the memory painter? Did we there is, right? Yeah. Okay, good.
I don't know when that's going to be, but you know what? She could take her time because it's a great book and she does great work. So,
well, according to Scott, if you remember when we talked to Scott about the sequel to The Melancholy Life of Annie Astor, he said typically, unless you have the sequel ready already, you write one book in between and then you write the sequel. Well, for those of you keeping track, this is the book in between. So if we're going by that logic, the sequel to The Memory Painter should be next. Are we right?
I would hope so. That's assuming she follows your logic, Michele.
Well, everyone should follow my logic because it makes perfect sense.
The world would be a much better place if they just followed our logic, yours and mine.
I agree.
Mostly yours, because I think sometimes you're a little bit more logical than I am.
probably.
You've
And
gotten those panicked phone calls from, or text messages and things from me periodically, so you don't need to panic about little things nearly as much as I do sometimes.
No, just
People aren't
ants.
Huh?
Just ants.
Yes, very true.
So the Library of Alexandria, I've been researching it a lot, and there seems to be, well, a lot. Okay, so I started the other day researching very lightly, and then like 2 hours before the show, my mom and my aunt asked me what we were talking about, and I said, well, we're going to talk about the book and what we think about it so far, because we were both supposed to be at the first 100 pages. We weren't supposed to be 20 pages short and the page done, or the book done.
Rules are meant to be broken.
And I said, and then, we're going to talk about the Library of Alexandria and its history. So I guess I should really probably research it a little bit. But I always thought that the Library of Alexandria was destroyed in one fell swoop, but it was actually destroyed like in increments.
Mm-hmm.
There were different things that destroyed part of it, but the fire from Caesar's war, the Civil War, is really kind of what started the destruction of it, which is really just really devastating.
It makes part of me glad that he got stabbed in the back by Brutus. I'm sorry, but to cause that destruction in the books, you don't.
Well, I mean, okay, so for anyone who isn't familiar with it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because it was a brief research, but so Cleopatra became a queen or pharaoh queen, after her father died. She married her brother so they could rule together, not in a romantic, incestuous way, but so they could both rule their kingdom together. But shockingly, some people in the government didn't appreciate a woman running the country and running it as well as she did, and being beloved as much as she was by her people.
Because they have had great female pharaohs in the past. Nefertiti was one of their greatest pharaohs.
Well, clearly they
forgot about it.
Apparently. So she fled Egypt. She went into Syria, and when Caesar came, so Rome kind of left Egypt to do their own thing. Egypt was part of Rome because Ptolemy bequeathed Egypt to Rome in his will. But Rome was just kind of like, okay, do your thing, and you're part of our empire, but we're not worried about you.
Yeah, just pay us your dues, and we're good.
So, but Caesar, wanted to come see, his property, basically. And Cleopatra, being the wily woman that she was, saw an opportunity to talk to the emperor and get back into her country, because it was mainly her ministers that wanted her gone. So if the emperor said she stays, they would have no choice but to obey that and to let her stay,
which is a bold move.
But and of course, as even Gwendolyn stated in the book, no one had said no to Cleopatra up until then, and Caesar wasn't going to break that trend. He said, of course she could stay, and there were a lot of rumors of Caesar and Cleopatra being lovers. Am I right?
I think, didn't they have a kid together?
I don't know. Egyptian history is not my area.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it wasn't rumors, because they did have a thing. That was part of the issues, was because then she took up with Antonio afterwards. But I'm almost positive that she had a kid with Julius.
So we're gonna have to research that. But because Caesar let her stay and she came back, he thought that it would be a done issue. but the ministers that had a problem with Cleopatra to begin with staged a civil war.
Okay,
basically.
I was right. She did have a son with Julius Caesar. His name was Caesarion.
Okay.
Um,
So does that mean somewhere in Egypt or Italy, I guess, there are descendants of Cleopatra and Julius Caesar?
Possibly. It depends on whether or not this, because I think they just had the one.
Because that'd be pretty cool.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool if you could trace your lineage back to that. Oh, he died at the age of 17.
Oh, well, then never mind.
Yeah, so he may or may not have had a kid.
Yeah, true. 17, it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
But so basically, Caesar had the civil war in his hands, and he didn't come down with enough men to fight a war. So he walled himself up in on the lighthouse. I have to look at a map from that time to get an idea, but it kind of sounds like it was a peninsula, and he set the harbor on fire so no one could get to it. But that
Which is
fire,
bold. If we think about it, you're not just drawing a line in the sand. You're burning a line in the sand so that people can't get to you. And then there's the risk of the fire actually coming towards you, and you're trapped.
Oh, and okay, there's that. Number two, you burned the harbor. You burned the access point for ships to come into your city and bring goods and trades and merchants and money, basically.
You might not have thought this through.
And you have the world's greatest library right there. The collection of human knowledge and human literature right there. You didn't think to maybe evacuate some of that just in case the winds might change?
But this is Julius Caesar we're talking about. The winds don't change for him. He was so,
I guess not.
so full of himself because he'd already taken over Rome. The Senate's pretty much been disbanded because of him. He basically pulled a Trump on ancient Rome. Is really what he did.
Well, I mean, okay, so you think the winds are never going to change. The winds are in your favor. You control.
He's blessed by a deity of some sort, is what he thinks in his mind. I'm playing devil's advocate.
So, but unfortunately, the winds did change, and it went for the library. And that was kind of the beginning of the end for the Library of Alexandria. There were a couple other, I'm not sure what the events were, but there were a couple other incidents that brought down the library. But I feel like if it wasn't for that first fire, I think they would have been able to handle the future incidents well enough.
I knew about the one that I had heard about was the a group of Christians coming in and destroying the place and burning the texts and things back when Christianity really fully took hold. Because they saw the Library of Alexandria as a pagan monument. And because it was pagan, yeah. And so that's how I thought the library had gone down. And, and then reading Gwen's, story and her talking about those events, that's the beginning of the end. It was like, okay, so there was more to it than just a bunch of angry Christians coming in and destroying things.
Which that in itself is so ignorant and so heartbreaking to know that there were, why can't I think of the word right now? The the Spanish
fundamentalists, Crusaders.
The Crusaders, thank you. There was so much history that they destroyed, and so much knowledge and art and.
Well, it's like, and you still see in present day with some with the Muslims coming into some of those Middle Eastern areas. When they take over a town, one of the first things they do is they go to the ancient temples and just destroy them because they're monuments to pagan gods, and it's like, no, I mean, I get it. You don't like the stuff. Fine. Don't worship it. Encourage other people not to worship it. But this is a piece of history. Whether you agree with that history or not, this stuff happened, and it's a monument to something that actually happened.
So as you can see, when it comes to great libraries of the world, we feel very passionately.
I mean, not just libraries. I mean, we're talking about history. You preserve history.
Yeah, I think.
I
mean, the fact that it still happens today, and that now looking back, I think everyone can agree that the Library of Alexandria would have been, one of the 9 wonders of the world if it still existed. And to go back in time and tell people, hey, no matter what you believe, no matter where your political, alliances or allegiances are, or where your religious tendencies are, preserve that. That's something that needs to be protected and respected and preserved for future generations. And we'll never get those works back, and we'll never know what was in that library.
Exactly. And then there's, just think about it, because we're still studying. We've studied a lot of ancient Egypt, and we know a lot about the culture and the history, but there's so much that we still don't know. And if it's like what Glenn wrote in the book, where they collected all these different pieces of works, literature, and manuscripts, and all sorts of things from all these other countries. Imagine the things that we don't know, the mysteries that we don't know in history, how much we would know, and how much better we would be scientifically, because they were doing autopsies and studying the human body.
Or how much
living in Star Trek right now.
How much more easily I could understand geometry, because they were already studying it back then, and they may have found an easier way to solve for x, although that's algebra, and you can see why I failed math.
It's okay. Barbie says math is hard. This is what I do.
I'm trying to make a point. It was a valid point. I was sticking up for math. It doesn't happen very often.
You're not comfortable with this, are you?
No, I'm not at all. And the wine bottle is in the other room.
Aw, that's okay. I finished mine. I'll drink for you. I didn't have that much left, though. I only had like this much in there when we started. So, I'm not being that much of a lush tonight, guys. That was me last week.
Last week was just, let's talk for an hour and see what happens. We did mention books. Books came up in the conversation, so.
Multiple times.
And then, I don't know, then it was just madness.
Then I reached a new low in cheesiness.
But I think now, this is what happens when you have a viewer in the next room.
Hi, Mom.
My wine. Let's talk about math some more. It'll be fun. Now, before my, thank you. Before my train of thought was broken by more wine. Now I think would be a good time to bring up our awesome giveaways this month.
Yes, it would be, because what would Wine Awards not be now without giveaways? But not just any giveaways, awesome giveaways. Gwendolyn has offered out to our wonderful viewers and listeners a signed copy of either the Fortune Teller or the Memory Painter. So we're going to have one of each to give away to 2 lucky people. And it's going to start tomorrow. And we're going to have the Rafflecopter link for it. And basically, you either have to follow Gwendolyn on Twitter and or Facebook. And then another option for an entry as well, because those each count for one separate entry. Or you can subscribe to Wine Women and Wives on YouTube.
And we highly encourage both.
Yes, all 3.
Or all 3. That's what I meant.
Especially since, if you follow Gwen right now, you get to see some really fun pictures from her trip to Japan, which looks really exciting and lots of fun.
And if you subscribe to us, you get notifications when we are live. And who doesn't want to watch Wine, Women, and Words on Thursday night.
Right?
Especially right now when Scandal isn't on and How to Get Away with Murder isn't on.
Isn't this upcoming season Scandal's last season?
Yeah, it is. And it's really about time because I am so done with Olivia and Fitz and Jay. I don't even know. I haven't watched the last season, so I don't know what happened. But, like, really, if you're going to be together, be together. If you're not, let it go.
Yeah, that gets old quite a bit.
And I don't even know. I didn't even finish the first season of How to Get Away with Murder. I'm sure it was very good.
I can't do crime shows. I lose interest. I try and I try and I try. Even Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's a comedy, it's a spoof, and I can't stay with it. I can't get into it. So yeah, How to Get Away with Murder, especially because of the legal stuff. You know me with the legal stuff. I'm in the legal profession by day. The last thing I want is to watch people talk about the legal profession, which 90% of the time is wrong. But I don't want to watch something that's going to remind me of work.
Well, anyway, I can understand that. The point is, you should enter the giveaway and subscribe to all of us to get more entries. And is it bad form if I subscribe to all three to enter for a copy of The Memory Painter? Because
yes, because
why? The Memory Painter was a library checkout for me because I didn't realize how awesome it was when I picked it up. And I
should have known when I read it within 24 hours.
I know, and I remember reading it, and it was an afternoon, and you reached that point in a really good book where you literally cannot stop reading. Like, you'll put it down and be like, okay, I'm gonna, adult now and take care of my kids. And then like 30 seconds later, you're picking the book back again. Now, as a disclaimer, my husband was home and he was watching the kids, so it's not like I was neglecting my children.
We totally would not judge you if you did. If you were like, okay, kids, watch TV, mommy's got to read.
I mean, I've done that, but like not in the, I'm going to go upstairs, don't play with sharp objects.
At least wait until they're 7 before you do that.
But you reach that point, and I'm pretty sure Fortune Teller is going to be the same way. But with The Memory Painter, you reach that point in the book where you can't stop reading. And you think you figured it out, and you get all cocky and go, oh, I know what's going to happen. Like, obviously, this is happening. And you keep reading, and it's like, no, you were wrong. And you're laughing because the fortune teller is the same way, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You're gonna go through those same things. Like, I didn't even try to guess what was going on and who it was. I had me guessing until the very end. But it was literally today. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna slack off. I'm gonna do my work. And like, I've got my stuff over to here to the side of my desk. I'm not going to. There. I'm not going to. Oh, screw it. I could get 5 minutes in. Yeah, that was me today.
You have an awesome boss, though.
I really do.
So
and you talk about like how awesome my boss is. He trusts me so much, and as long as I get the work done, everything's cool. But one of the great things was, like, for example, we're going to go to Las Vegas shortly after New Year's Day, and it's a holiday week, and we're going for a wedding, and I'm like, crap, this is holiday. And so I was like, so is this cool? And he's like, why are you asking me for time off? And I was like, because it's a holiday weekend. He's like, I'm not going on vacation. I don't care when you take time off. Just put it on the calendar. Okay.
All right, bye.
I'm spoiled. I am so spoiled by my boss. It's unreal.
Sorry, I have something in my eye. It's super annoying. And by saying that, I realized that I pulled my face up on the screen so you guys get a close-up view
of you rubbing your eye. Because we're professionals.
We are. Cheers.
Yay.
But Mom, since you're watching in the other room, did you notice No Hair playing tonight. And I hear her laughing
No,
right
but
now.
everybody's sober now watching.
Even though it's really hot right now and I'm dying to push my hair off my shoulders, I'm not touching it.
You're dying to right now, aren't you?
Oh my God, it's killing me. I'm like sweating. Anyway, so that's the giveaway that we're doing this month. When is the winner going to be announced?
The contest closes on Wednesday, the last Wednesday of the month, which let me take a look at the calendar. Which will be Thursday or the 30th. Why did I say Thursday? Barbie says numbers are hard too. So it's gonna. They are. All right, so it's gonna close on Wednesday the 30th, and we will announce the winners on the 31st.
So you guys have to watch, because also the 31st is when Gwendolyn is going to be joining us. And I'm sure we're going to have like a list of questions, a ridiculous list of questions for her. And also next week we have a special guest on next week, right?
Yeah, thank you for the reminder to talk about her. Her name is Christina Julian. She is a Napa wine and food columnist, which, okay, already she's our people's right there.
Wine and food, we're good.
Two of my favorite things. And she's got a new book that is coming out called The Dating Bender, which it sounds like, who's the author that you talk about all the time that you love, that it's not really my thing, but she does the Something Borrowed?
Emily Giffin.
Yeah, I know I should know this, but sorry.
It's okay, Emily. I tried. Don't be offended.
I still have one of your books from the series in my.
I know.
I'm gonna have to send it to you with my next batch of books that I give you. Okay, so here, let's give you guys a bit of a synopsis of The Dating Bender, which, again, sounds totally up our alley, because I read the premise of it and I was just like, this is what that Michele would absolutely love. I mean, it's a book I'm going to enjoy. And for some reason, the Goodreads app on my phone isn't working. So let me see if I can get it on Goodreads.com. Well, basically, the premise from what I can remember of it, since I can't pull it up, The Dating Bender, this girl, her life has basically fallen apart. Okay. And it starts off, okay. So here I am on my knees in front of the Trevi Fountain, which for those of you who don't know, which is in Italy, hoping like hell the legend is true, that the fountain gives you solace and love by a mere toss of a coin. Why am I here exactly? Let's see. It started with my parents telling me to get married. Of course, being the good Catholic girl I am, I did. Needless to say, that marriage nosedived, and my parents weren't exactly happy about newly ditched and shamefully disowned. I decided to follow the advice of Babs, a tart of a mentor, who offered me a job in Colorado. Her advice? Sex, and lots of it. The temptation of freedom to do whatever, whoever I wanted was too darn strong for me to say no. And that's how it all started. The men, the sex, the journey, the dating bender, because everybody deserves a duo. It sounds like a really fun book.
And can I say, I love that you dropped F-bombs without worrying about it, but you edited damn for darn.
Because Captain America, you were going to say And you do you understand my Captain America reference?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Come on.
I wasn't sure if you watched the last one, the last Civil War yet or not.
Oh, that went down the wrong tube.
That's going to be my new nickname for you now, because if we were actually Avengers, it would be Captain America.
Probably. Oh. Anyway, so she's going to be on our show next week.
And we're going to be talking about, well, Michele collects herself. We're going to do some wine pairings, and we're going to be chatting about our book and learning a thing or two about wine, not just drinking it.
And the fact that she's a columnist is so cool, and I can't wait to talk to her about food and her work as a journalist because hello. And it kind of sucks now that we're bringing her on the show and I'm across the country and no longer have easy access to Napa. But maybe she did a couple columns in Chicago. I don't know.
Maybe. And I mean, there's great wine all over the country. I mean, the United States has a great wine selection, not just in California. I'm sure in North Carolina there, you've got some great wines.
Well, the Biltmore makes some pretty damn good wines.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm drinking tonight.
Ooh, aren't you fancy?
I know. It's my Zelda wine.
But I'm sure there's some, Illinois, I'm sure grows some. I know New York has like some wines up there that they grow. So, I mean, you don't necessarily have to be in California for the wines.
Well, okay, if we're picking locations to be in for wine, like, let's just go to France.
Right?
Or Italy.
Either one. I know I plan on, when I go to France, I've already told my husband and my sister that I plan on just sliding through my vacation on a river of wine.
And I'm just going to be sending her text messages saying, I hate you.
But I don't plan on being until I get back.
It's going to be such a quiet time for me.
I know. Well, it's okay. You're gonna have to make plans for special guests and do something fun. I know. The Diana Sucks episode.
The We Hate Diana series. Welcome. And I say that with love.
You had a fan club and I get my own series? That doesn't seem fair.
We'll make wristbands.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm okay with this.
Well, we have reached, okay, we're a little early, but 2 minutes. But we have reached the end of our hour this evening. And it's like midnight and I'm tired, so. But be sure to tune in next week so you can watch our wine pairings and talk about The Dating Bender, which sounds like an awesome book, and I'm clearly going to have to add another book to the collection. That did not count as moving my hair. I had an itch.
It totally counts because you guys need to drink up. Drink up now. Chug it. Chug it. There you go. There's my champ.
And keep reading The Fortune Teller. Obviously, Diana is done, but for those of us who are a little slower, it's another 100 pages, so you want to be around, and we're saying page numbers because...
Plan on being around, let's see here. Yeah, actually, looking at the chapter, you're actually going to want to be at 133.
And again, we're saying page numbers because there are no chapter numbers, so we're not trying to be complicated. We're actually trying to be easy.
And some of the chapters literally are like 2 pages.
So it's not an intimidating read at all. It's a very easy read, and it sucks you in right away.
6 days, and that was included like 2 days of like hard reading, where I got to the point where, as we were saying before, you just cannot put this book down. If I didn't have to get up for work this morning, I would have continued to have read it long into the night last night.
So keep reading and come back next week. Oh, and enter our giveaway so you can win a copy.
Yes, a signed copy too. Even better.
I'm not really, but I would like to create a fake account somehow and enter. So I have a chance.
Talk to her on the show, okay?
I know. Anyway, all right. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.